The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan. My name is Chad Himes. I get to be one of your hosts. Today I am joined by the awesome Jolene Snell. Say hello, Jolene.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure having you here as my co-host. I couldn't imagine anybody better to put in that seat for these conversations that we're going to have.
Wow, that's an honor.
Well,
Let's
Jolene,
dive in. We got 15 minutes, don't we?
We've got 15 minutes at the most to take everybody through this point of the 15-Point Plan. We're on point number 2, which is movement. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to remind you, we're going to take you through all 15 points, show you how you can earn the check mark on the 15-Point Plan tracker, which you can get by visiting 15pointplan.com. That way we can help you increase your energy through all of the areas that we know focus is required. Then we will dive deep. This is one that I know, Jolene, we could talk about, not for hours, we could talk about this for days.
I think so. And it's probably because of our experience of doing it for so many years.
Correct.
And we've seen the benefits of it, and we just want to bring that to our audience.
And that topic today is movement. We're going to be talking to you about movement. We're going to stay a little shallow. We're going to stay a little surface.
If we have to.
As much as possible to get through the 15 minutes and give you what you need today to increase your energy. And we will be diving deeper on this. So, Jolene, let's lay this out right up front. What is movement? What would you consider movement? And then what would you consider exercise? Where's the difference?
Movement is getting out of a position that we've been in for a really long time and doing something different.
Okay, got it. Exercise?
Exercise it's usually a planned time. It's an activity. It's more structured. It's something that's maybe repetitive during the week. That's going to help us condition the body, and it's going to get our heart rate up during that time above and beyond just moving, like walking to the grocery store, to the coffee shop, or and that's going to consist of cardiovascular conditioning, maybe some strength training and resistance training, as well as flexibility training.
Okay, so there's a lot of terms in the world of exercise. There are a lot of terms out there. There's ones that used to confuse the heck out of me. I want to break them down for everybody out there. Jolene, the first one is aerobic exercise. Now, we've probably all heard the term aerobic, and I'm going to definitely age myself because I remember the 20-minute workout when it was on TV. That was purely an aerobic exercise. Jolene, what is the definition of aerobic exercising?
Any physical activity that uses large muscle groups, and it causes the body to use more oxygen than it would while just sitting or resting.
Okay, give me an example of an aerobic exercise.
Something I haven't done in a while, Chad, running.
Okay, something you have done fairly recently, though, is?
Cycling.
There you go. Okay, give me a few more.
Well, swimming, walking quickly enough to get your heart rate up, rowing. Pacific Northwest, we love to do hiking.
Mm-hmm.
Dancing.
Yes, especially with the kids.
I'm a
Dance,
terrible
right?
dancer. I don't know about that one, Chad. And then playing tennis. I know a lot of people love to play tennis.
Yeah, okay. Golf is not an aerobic exercise. You're walking. You're not walking briskly when you golf.
It's a good clarification for our audience.
Because there's a lot of golfers saying, oh, I'm getting my exercise.
Well, and it's a sustained amount of time having your heart rate up, not just for a few seconds.
Correct. And we will definitely get into it. You'll notice Jolene did mention walking, but she mentioned brisk, quick walking. So we will have that debate in a few moments as we keep going through this. Jolene, the opposite of aerobic exercise is anaerobic exercise, okay? Which doesn't really make much sense and is impossible to spell. Yet, Jolene, what is anaerobic exercise?
It's going to be like strength and resistance training, anything that's going to strengthen and increase our muscle mass. And it's going to improve our bone density, our balance, our coordination.
Okay. Give me some things that qualify as anaerobic exercising.
Pull-ups, push-ups, lunges, squats, sprinting, weight training, and HIIT exercises,
What's
which are
HIIT?
some of my favorites.
I'm listening to this. I don't know what you're talking about. What's HIIT exercising?
HIIT is high-intensity interval training.
Okay. So basically it just sounds like pull-up, push-up, lunges, squats, sprints, weight training, HIIT training. Sounds to me like you just described a CrossFit class.
That sounds fun. Let's do it.
All right. Dave, put pause here. We're going to go get a quick CrossFit workout in, and then we'll come back and we'll finish this for everybody, making sure we go on to it. No. So, Jolene, we've got anaerobic and we've got aerobic. Those are the two opposite types of training to each other, really. And then that third one you mentioned at the top was you also mentioned flexibility training, exercising in that area. Talk to me about that. What is flexibility exercising?
That's such a good in-between for aerobic and anaerobic exercises where it's going to stretch and lengthen the muscles, and it's going to help with our flexibility and keeping our muscles limber and improve the range of motion that allows us to then go back and do our other exercises even stronger and better, especially if we're training for an event like a Spartan event or an Ironman or something of that magnitude. This is one of the most important parts of our balance in movement.
Give me an example of flexibility.
So that would be doing yoga, and it would be stretching, and
Pilates.
Pilates would be a good one.
Sure.
You know what? YouTube's amazing. You can pull up some videos on YouTube so easy and just pick a channel that's your favorite so you don't spend 15 minutes searching for your favorite yoga instructor on YouTube. Just find one and then use that in your week so that you know exactly where you're going. And then you can just play the same one over and over again for that yoga exercise or for stretching techniques.
It's awesome. I get mine from Peloton. They have added all of that stuff as well. So many of you might have an account with them or an iFit account through Nordic Track or something where you can get a lot of that stuff as well as you're going through it. You know, it's interesting, Jolene. Have you ever noticed that as people get older and older and older, they seem to get shorter and shorter and shorter? You ever notice that grandma all of a sudden is shorter or other people are shorter?
Is that why my pants seem a little long right now?
Possibly.
Okay.
You're not doing enough flexibility exercises.
Interesting.
And what's happening is your muscles over years are actually shortening and shortening because you're not stretching and keeping them long and tight.
Could it also be a lack of strength training exercises that support the muscles and support the bones as well?
Yes. So for those of you that are short out there and don't want to get shorter, this is a reason to make sure movement becomes part of your day, specifically exercise in there. All right, so Jolene, we've talked about exercise. We talked about anaerobic. We talked about aerobic. We talked about flexibility. What isn't exercise? You kind of gave me the difference up top there, movement versus exercise. What are some of those things that are not exercise?
I'm afraid to say this word because I know it is a big part of people's life, but walking is technically not exercise. If we are, say, walking our dog leisurely, we're walking and enjoying a view, we're walking with a family and just taking our time, or walking fast and then slow, or stopping to talk to the neighbor. Unfortunately, that is not considered exercise. It's an amazing add-on that helps us have movement in our day above and beyond sitting in a chair at our office or at our home office.
Okay, so Dave, we don't have this soundbite yet, and you're not going to put it there. You might put it there because you're awesome. We need some sort of "did you know," soundbite echo or something here. Folks, did you know that 10,000 step thing that all of you cling to out there and say, well, I must be exercising, I get my 10,000 steps. Jolene, did you know it's from a marketing campaign from 1964? It was done by a company selling pedometers before the Tokyo Olympics of 1964. And if you understand, I don't speak the language, but what I have learned is that man means 10,000, po means steps, and K means meter, and they were selling a pedometer that they called Mampo-K. And that was it. The 10,000 steps is completely marketing.
And my mind was blown by that. Now tell me, could we do exercise and 10,000 steps if we had maybe a heart rate tracking monitor on our wrist or something that would actually show us that it was elevated enough to be considered exercise?
If you have your heart rate elevated, and let's talk about what exercise truly is, okay? Exercise is your heart rate exceeding 70% of your maximum heart rate for 20 minutes.
At least 20 minutes.
Yes. So if you went for a run long distance, you're going to easily put in 10,000 steps. If you do a CrossFit class, you might put in 10,000 steps. Although on some of them, you might not move very much. But if you just walk, that's not going to get your heart rate up. But you mentioned earlier hiking was aerobic exercise. That's just walking up a hill. your heart rate's going to climb for that and break this 70% threshold, and you probably can get your 10,000 steps and consider it exercise.
So how do we figure out what our heart rate should be at?
Okay, math. I'm not good at this stuff, but here you go. Here is the simple way to figure it out. You take 220 and you subtract your age from it. Jolene, we never ask a woman their age.
Never.
Okay? So if you want, you can do my information for everybody.
I'm
she's
getting
got
out
the
my calculator. That's okay.
All right.
I can do it. I can give it to the
220
audience.
minus your age.
183.
Okay, now we're going to keep moving so people can't figure out how much that means you will. Okay, now take that and multiply that by 70%.
Got it. That's 128.
You need to have your heart rate over 128 beats per minute for a minimum of 20 minutes to consider exercising.
You know, I don't have the fancy one that you have, the Whoop tracker on your wrist, but I've got the Apple Watch, which also does tracking. And if I have it on tight enough, it gives me really accurate data.
Yep.
And so that is the number that I'm looking for on my Apple Watch.
Correct.
For 20 minutes.
If you really don't have all that stuff, I mean, nowadays almost everybody has something like that. If you're working out and your heart rate is moving, it's very easy to find your pulse on your neck. Very easy when your heart rate is going. So put your fingers on your pulse, and for 15 seconds, count how many times it pounds, and then just multiply that by 4, and now you know your heart rate over a minute.
Fantastic.
Right?
That doesn't cost a thing.
Doesn't cost you anything to just take out your stopwatch, go 15 seconds, and go 1, 2, 3, 4. As your heart is pounding, multiply that by 4 at the end of 15 seconds, and now you know, are you over 128, and can you hold that in your case for at least 20 minutes to consider it exercise?
You know what I really liked about this study and going through this podcast together is just knowing that 20 minutes is all it takes. It's you hear all sorts of things over the years about how much exercise you actually need, and then you go to that fitness class for 60 minutes that almost kills you, and you feel like you're going to puke at the end of it.
Yep.
When in reality, if you could just do 20 minutes a day.
Correct. So take that and go to the next level with that, Jolene. How often should I work out, and what should I be doing to consider this happening?
Well, we're relating movement to 20 minutes of sustained exercise per day.
Yes.
So 20 minutes, 7 days a week, and anything we choose to tack on top of that. Let's just say we're training for a marathon, or we're training for a Spartan race, or we're training in muscle building competition. Those types of things are obviously going to be add-ons. But the 20 minutes is the one thing that we don't want to skip. We want it to become part of our habit and identity, the same way that we brush our teeth every day, we'd get that 20 minutes in.
Okay, so gang, you want to earn the check mark on the 15-point plan tracker. It's 20 minutes of exercise. That's what we're considering for movement. Now, if that's that difficult for you, we will allow you to set something for yourself. Yes, walk a mile at first, or whatever it might be. Yet I'm going to then challenge you to turn that walk a mile into a run walk. I'm going to challenge you to step that up to the next level so your heart rate's moving. Folks, it's not that difficult to get your heart rate over 70% of your max heart rate for 20 minutes over the course of a day if you prepare and plan for it. Jolene, give me some benefits that are going to come from this exercising.
I think a lot of people exercise because they want to lose weight or they want to feel better, and those are two of the main reasons, and they're great reasons to exercise. There's some other benefits that people may not think about.
Okay.
I think the first, though, is just simply mood improvement, because your body is releasing endorphins and serotonin that's going to reduce stress. It plays a critical role in our mood and our overall mental health.
When I'm having one of those moments around the house, Nita will look at me and say, go work out.
Absolutely.
And she knows it'll change my mood completely.
Right. And why would we want to skip a day of that?
Never.
That's why it's so important to do it every single day.
The best addiction I have in my life. What else is a benefit?
There's another fun study that says that people who exercise regularly are a decade younger, approximately, than their peers on a cellular level.
Awesome.
So it's going to prevent cell loss in the body. It's going to make us younger. This is one of the best anti-aging techniques. It can distract us during exercise from something that might be frustrating us or upsetting us that day or that week. It's going to improve circulation, which provides more oxygen to the liver and the kidneys. And really, Chad, it's going to set And just setting and meeting those expectations for exercise every single day is going to boost our self-confidence and sense of self-control.
Okay. Sounds pretty good to
It's
me.
made some pretty big impacts in our lives, right? And I think at any moment, if we want a moment of self-reflection, we just want to say, how do we feel? What are some regular challenges that we feel like we're having with our health and our mood? And could that be tied to a lack of exercise? And could it be fixed with just 20 minutes of elevated heart rate every day and doing one of those exercises we mentioned?
Okay, so we've given everybody how to earn the check mark. It's go do 20 minutes of exercise every day to claim that you've got your movement in. Jolene, when do you exercise during the day? What's the ideal? Give everybody the ideal day of exercise, because we don't agree on this one necessarily. When do you get yours done?
We don't, because I exercise at night.
And I exercise first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, a lot of people will say, hey, every day for the rest of my life, I exercise at 5:30 a.m. I admire those people. Like you, Chad, I see you on the Peloton at 4:30 in the morning. That's so not me. But also, my schedule might vary week to week, depending on my travel or other things with the kids. And so I look at my week in advance, and on Sundays, I just map it out in an Apple Note of the time, the 20 minutes, because Chad, often I only do 20 minutes, believe it or not.
All you need.
In my past, I do an hour, I do more. Now it's just 20 because that's about all the time that I have. I'm just making those 20 minutes count.
There you
So
go.
I map out the week in advance. It could be morning, it could be noon, it could be night. Most of the time it's at night, Chad. And believe it or not, I have more energy at night.
That's what works for you. The point, folks, we want you to get from this is just do it, as Nike said. Do it whatever works for you. If you're a morning person, and that's when it fits in your day. If you're someone that can commit to doing it at the end of the day, and that's when it works in your day. If you're I need a midday break and you can make that work, fantastic. Takeaway from this episode is a simple one. I just said it, and I'm going to say it again, and you're going to hear it thousands of times from people who are wearing Nike shoes. Just do it. Folks, if you can only do 5 minutes right now, start there. Add a minute a week until you can get to a minimum 20 minutes of 70% or greater of your maximum heart rate. We know you can, and we know all that's going to do is help you the way we hope this episode ups your energy and takes you to the next level.
The opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests. Speak with your doctor before starting any diet or exercise program.